Hi everyone, and welcome to Shine a Light, a very special Shine a Light for Samsung UK. My name is David Thompson, but you guys already know me by now, and we have got something extra special for you. I'm really happy and excited that we've got this gentleman in. We've been working together for the last 4 or 5 months on this project. I'm really excited for him to share his true ability, and that is Steven Woodgate.
Hi, thank you for inviting me on, and can't wait to actually. This seat looks a lot more comfortable while watching this. So, just absolutely delighted today and looking forward to our discussion today.
My absolute pleasure. Now, this is the first time you've come in. We've been working on our employee resource group for quite a while, right? But before we go into that, let's hear about you and your story, Steve.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm Steven Woodgate, also known as Woody.
Yep.
I've been working in technology for the last about 10 years or so. Mm-hmm. Depressingly getting into my mid-30s now, so I can't believe I can actually use the word 10 years now. I spent 7 wonderful years at Microsoft, spent 2 years at Dell before joining Samsung, so always worked in technology.
Yeah.
But I kind of stumbled on technology accidentally. So I always wanted to be a journalist.
Right.
So when coming through my teenagers, I used to read newspapers, used to read blogs, and I just really wanted to tell stories.
Yeah.
And that's my biggest thing, what I've always wanted to do. And I went to university, luckily got into university, studied journalism, wrote a bunch of stories, fulfilled what was my childhood dream of actually becoming a journalist. And I worked for the Hampshire Chronicle and the Echo down in Southampton, which was brilliant, like so much fun.
Yeah.
And being a sports guy, my role was a non-league reporter in cricket.
Wow.
So I spent my summer watching cricket all day and spent my weekends around university watching non-league football. And it's incredible. Got to watch Hampshire win the 2020 Cup. I saw England play at the Rose Bowl.
Nice.
It was incredible, and saw some very average but some brilliant non-league football matches with some, as you can imagine, some very obscene language.
Yeah. And so from being a journalist, that is something that was a big passion of yours, and then you've now moved into the technology side and you moved into Dell. What was the transition like on the roles? Was the role similar in Dell where you would write more marketing-based assets, or was it something to do more internally with Dell?
It's probably more, the reason why I jumped from maybe journalism into more corporate communications was there was this pivotal moment when I was around 21, 22, where I had to do a match report for a 5 p.m. deadline. Yeah. So I quite luckily they liked my words, so I got signed up to do a much bigger game. Okay. And back in the day, there was a paper called The Pink, which was sent out in the evening. So I had all the football match reports from the 3 o'clock kickoff. Okay. To do that, there was no words, there was no PCs. You had to dictate your copy over the phone. Right. And that was the beginning of my massive downfall in journalism. Yeah. With my dyslexia and my dyspraxia, I had to write by hand. Yeah. And then I had to read my own words over the phone and dictate it to someone. Wow. And I just couldn't do it. Yeah. I struggled, couldn't get a match report together. Yeah. So I wrote this match report, couldn't dictate it. Yeah. And so missed a deadline. Right. And I kind of knew then that I can't do this, based on that kind of world. So that's what made me go and study PR. Yep. So I studied storytelling and PR and brand communications because I had the storytelling, so I love the storytellings. I just wanted to know how I could formalize it, and corporate it, maybe. And that led me into working for an agency, which got me into Microsoft, and social media was like up and coming then. Yeah, I feel so old, right?
Not as old as me, trust me.
A thing called Twitter. Yeah. At that time, just how we got there. Yeah. And I came into Microsoft and just loved the communications and just built my career from there. And 7 great years learning a lot. Went to Dell, learned quite a lot. And when this opportunity at Samsung came along, I was like, what a cool brand to be a part of. Yeah. Like, always loved Samsung.
Cool. So your role in Samsung, what to the viewers at home, what is your role? What do you work as at the moment?
So I've recently just got a new job as a head of category for PCs.
Congratulations, dude.
Thank you. And the role here is to look after the business of PCs, and with Samsung's reintroduction and a new way of interrupting what is seen as quite a boring industry like PC, laptops. Samsung coming back in with some brilliant products.
We've got some fantastic products there.
Exactly. With Windows 11 coming out last year in different bits, and Chromebooks coming as well. Like, it's just going to be in the most incredible space. And for Samsung to really disrupt the market. And I'm looking forward to being a disruptor.
Yep, and you're going to be a very busy man.
Incredibly.
So we've been working, and for those who don't know, we've obviously had the Shine a Light project where we did it for Black professionals, and that's a part of our employee resource group. You also run and own the True Ability employee resource group. For the viewers at home, tell us a bit about what that resource group is about.
So True Ability started up maybe 3 months ago in October. And the reason for that is that we just wanted to give a voice for those people with disabilities. And when people think about disabilities, not just think about physical disabilities. So it may not be a manifestation of someone who's missing an arm, who's in a wheelchair, who can't see. It's also for those with hidden disabilities, people who may have bowel issues, people who have learning disabilities such as dyspraxia, dyslexia, things with hearing. You know, for instance, you cannot tell someone who's partially deaf, for instance. So, I wanted to create a safe space for those people at Samsung to be able to have an open conversation. Because it's very unlikely in most cases that you would be open to a people manager about your disabilities. So with Samsung, they really want to promote your true self. So we want to create a safe space for people to build their confidence to be their true self.
And you also have a hidden disability as well, right?
Correct,
And so for those who don't know, it's dyslexia and dyspraxia.
Correct,
Okay. So do you want to explain the differences between each one for most people that are at home as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So dyslexia is probably the most common hidden disability you may hear. In fact, now 1 in 5 children are known to have a certain trait of dyslexia, and people in the past have seen that as a downfall. So it may be an issue with their writing, spelling, words, pronunciations, all that are coming together. In fact, when people talk about dyslexia, we need to turn the tables completely and think about the positive elements, the superpowers that dyslexia gives you. So my dyslexia is a lot in my pronunciation. My word if you ask me to spell a word now, it'd be very unlikely that I'd be able to just pick it off. I learned spelling by remembering, not phonetics. Very oddly, that in schools now, they teach the alphabet in phonetics.
In phonetics,
like that's rubbish. That's not good for anyone. But where my superpowers lie is that dyslexic people are very imaginative thinkers. They're creative. And they see the bigger picture maybe before other people do. The challenge they have is getting to the bigger picture. So for me, with my dyslexia, I've become very disability and confident. And that's one of the biggest things about it, is that I'm comfortable with my dyslexia, that I know how to use the strengths and use the strengths effectively. And that's one of the reasons why the True Ability kind of resource there is that we want to give that confidence and the know-how to how to use your superpower effectively in everyday working scenario. Where a aspect where I struggle a lot with, or where I find challenges, is in my dyspraxia. So dyspraxia, the common trait is clumsiness. So you may not catch a ball well, you may not reverse park very well. I still struggle at doing that. But my dyspraxia is actually my speech. So you may not hear it, but I'm stuttering the whole time speaking to you. So there's a communication between my brain and my mouth where I'm purposely slowing myself down. So because if my brain speaks normal, it'll just come out with mumble.
And have you had to teach yourself to do that?
Yes. Absolutely.
And from a young age, you started to do that, or?
So from an early age, I used to speak to someone. And I used to always look to my mum or dad to see if I said it right. So I always use mum and dad as kind of a sounding board or validation that when I spoke, did I say it right? Or my parents would repeat what I said to that person. And that was kind of a mechanism. I had a speech therapist up until I was about 11 at school, just because pronunciation, speaking loud was very difficult for me. Now taking that now in this context that I'm speaking to you in front of dozens of people, or thousands hopefully, and speaking on stage like in front of 1,000 people, where I'm scared, I'm petrified of doing that. But I know now for my own well-being, my own confidence, my own validation, is that the more I do that stuff, the more I feel comfortable with.
Yeah.
And I learn much more about myself doing that.
Yeah, I mean, it's great that you're sharing this. I mean, we've been working on this for quite a while, and we presented in an internal meeting the other day, and we was talking about the way that we're going to be presenting. And we're very similar in a way that we don't write anything down. So the questions I'm asking you, they're not written down, they're not pre-written. We've not had a brief about this. We've just said we're just going to flow. And when we was doing a presentation, we had no presentation notes because we built the content. So you already know what we're going to say about it. And I commend you for sharing this to everybody as well. For people that are out there that are watching, that happen to be within our brand or not, how do you think people, or as people managers or organizations, can support people more or better with hidden disabilities?
So there's probably like a few things to think about. One is that one of the reasons why I became more disability confident at work was because I was receiving the same feedback quarter on quarter. Steven, this wasn't very good, this wasn't as detailed as it should have been, etc., etc. Until I snapped, because it was penalising me. That I went, well, you do know I'm dyslexic and dyspraxic, so I actually find that piece very difficult. And they looked at me like, not strangely, but kind of in amusement. It's like, I didn't know that about that. It's like, but it shouldn't be something that I don't want your sympathy. Like my disability is my challenge. What I would want from you is empathy. I want you to understand what it's like to speak in my shoes. From the viewers who are watching this, for them to understand how difficult it is for me to speak slowly and to sit here, and how I've worked on that. That's the empathy which, you know, people with disabilities really want. It's not that I feel sorry for you. No, it's that this is my superpower and this is what I am. And it's that empathy which we want to go through. And I would encourage any people manager out there to understand, especially when they see one of their members maybe in a bit of distress, like just to think about what it'd be like in their shoes, even for a split second. So if you think about someone who's got a physical disability, and you've got a wheelchair, and you're having a standing up meeting, you know, imagine how difficult it would be for that person in a wheelchair to go, actually, I'm looking up at 10 people here. You know, like actually drop into someone's height, you know, and speaking to them. Like, that's just being good manners and being kind and thinking much more broadly. And something with disabilities, we know that 1 in 5 people have some sort of disability, but 1 in 2 people love someone with a disability. So I really think that this kind of thing really hits a chord with someone, whether it's a kid, whether it's a family member. And let's not forget, like, disabilities can be temporary. And they're not permanent as well. So you may, if you have laser eye surgery, for instance, you are temporarily disabled. You can't see. So how can we think about how we can make a better life and experience for them? And something what I love about Samsung's got tremendous power to do this. Is that we're the biggest consumer electronics company in the world, which make incredible products, whether that's fold, flip, laptop, TVs, fridges, etc. And there's a bunch of accessibility features that we don't even know exist.
There's so many. Like, you can go into your settings on your smartphone, your tablets, everything can go into accessibility. And it's easy for anybody that's watching this at home. Literally go into your settings, click on the search bar and just type in accessibility, and there are tons of different features, which I think as a brand and even anybody out there, we should highlight that even more to support people and make sure that they have the same experiences that others have, and they don't feel like they're left out. So I think it's a really good point on that one. Cool.
And just on that, like a really simple one is that 1 in 4 men are colorblind. You know, and I think only 50% of men admit to being colorblind. So that's another male thing, which probably a whole conversation to go through. But if you're watching Ireland against Wales, say in the Six Nations in rugby, you've got red on green, which is the most common colourblind, and the green shirts playing on a green field. Like, that's so difficult to watch, like even on your most amazing 80-inch Samsung TV. Which I know you've got a couple.
Of course.
So, So with that, however, if you're on a Windows 11 machine, you can actually turn color filters on straight away.
Yeah.
So you can have that experience and watch a rugby match how it's intended to watch in a much better and safer experience. Even though that's a color blindness accessibility feature, I often go in there for grayscale.
Okay.
Mainly because that with my dyslexia and dyspraxia, I can get distracted quite easily.
Yeah.
So if you imagine if someone's got ADHD, as an example, notification here, bright light here could get very distracting.
Yeah.
I often put grayscale on when I need to focus in on a task. So even though that accessible technology was not built for me, I use it to benefit my own working plans.
Yeah. And you would highly recommend that for anybody that doesn't even have a disability, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Perfect. And for us, in terms of different tips that you can give, I know you're really passionate because we have a lot of, we use a system called Teams, which is all our virtual calling that we have meetings on. And there are accessibility settings that are also in Teams as well. So one of the things you spoke about was live caption that you was referencing. And for those who don't know what live caption is, how do you turn on live caption on Teams calls, as an example?
So Microsoft Teams wanted to kind of introduce a better way of working together with video collaboration and all that kind of stuff. But what's missed in kind of how they communicated is all the hidden features, which are amazing. So for instance, as you mentioned, captions. Really easy thing. So for someone who may be hard of hearing, you may be on a train, which is really noisy. You may actually be in a coffee shop with a crying baby, you know, for instance. And you don't want to tell that baby to be quiet because that's been...
Of course not.
No, that's not being very kind. It's not the baby's fault it's crying. So something which you can do, at the top on the taskbar in Teams, there's 3 dots. And you hit that and there's live captions.
Brilliant.
You hit that, within about 15 to 20 seconds, the AI picks up the person who's speaking into the microphone and translates that into subtitles. It's not perfect. It's not stellar. However, it's good enough to understand that you can follow the conversation. So whether you're holding a crying baby, for instance, you still can follow the gist of the meeting. So you still feel inclusive in that conversation.
Cool.
And there's things like blurred backgrounds, which is very common. People do that because they don't want to show off their decorations or their weird guitars in the background. But with this, actually having blurred backgrounds, if you've got someone who's watching who's hard of hearing, they can actually follow your lips easier by having a blurred background because there's more focus onto your face.
Brilliant.
And it's just nice kind of little tips that can just help so many people.
Lovely, lovely. I love that. We're going to wrap it up. But as we always do on a Shine a Light series, we always ask a few quick fire round questions. So Steve, I'm a foodie. Pretty sure you're a foodie as well. What is your favourite foods, mate?
I do love tacos.
Ooh, right, okay. What goes in the tacos?
Chicken.
Okay.
I like chicken tacos. Rice, guacamole, sour cream, salsa, lettuce, the whole lot.
No cheese? No?
A little
Melted
bit.
cheese on
top? Not too much. I quite like food which you assemble because I love Lego. So it's kind of like it's like a bit of a challenge, like when you make your own food.
Cool. Favourite tech you own?
My laptop.
Yeah.
And I say that biasly, but I also say that I wouldn't be in the position I am without a laptop.
Musically, what are you listening to?
I'm quite big, so I've been to 7 Glastonburys and about 12
I'm so
festivals.
jealous. Do you know how badly I want to go to Glastonbury? I've never been.
Already got my ticket next year.
Really?
Yeah. Right. So I'm really liking Holly Humberstone's new album. She's really good. I think she just won the Brit this morning as well.
Nice.
Which is really good. But I'm a big Coldplay fan. Being a middle-aged white man, I kind of have to like them. But no, I love Arctic Monkeys, so I'm like a Britpop young indie kid.
Yeah,
as you can tell by my white Converse.
I do like them though. And last question, next year, hopefully we'll be able to travel.
Yeah.
What's the one destination you want to go to?
We'll, touch wood, be going to it that my wife and I can finally go on our honeymoon.
Yes.
Which has been postponed for 12 months.
Yeah.
So we're going to the Maldives in January. Oh, nice. Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. I've got my fingers crossed for you. And then very, very last question. For true ability for you, what's the one goal you want to achieve next year?
Really easy. I want people at Samsung to feel comfortable and safe to be their true selves.
Brilliant.
And if we get halfway there, we've achieved what we set out to do.
Perfect way to end the Shine a Light Woody, thank you very much, brother. That is it for this episode of Shine a Light. It will not be the last time you see this gentleman, because you will see him a lot in 2022. We'll also have the women at Samsung, and we're going to have season 2 of the Black Professionals with Shine a Light. My name's been David DT Thompson. Lovely to see you guys. Hopefully, see you guys soon. Take care.